to Thanks Academy, the name of this podcast that I almost forgot as I started recording the episode. On this show, we are watching every Best Picture winner according to the Academy of Motion Picture something of all time, all 90 of them in random order with random friends. And today, the random friend is Katie Pengra.
Hello.
Yay! And we're going to randomly watch 1969's Best Picture winner, Midnight Cowboy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
The only thing I know about this movie is that it was, at the time, the only X-rated movie to win a Best Picture.
Has there been another one?
No, I think they downgraded it to R.
Oh, okay.
When the world took another look at it and said, oh, that wasn't so bad.
Fair enough. I also think it's fair to say that we initially chose Gone with the Wind.
Yes, we did.
And we both immediately vetoed it. Because it was like, you were like, pick a random number. So I picked a random number and you were like, we got Gone with the Wind. And then we both went, but what if we didn't?
It's just, I wanted to save it for...
Not
doing it down.
Yeah,
I just don't want to do it. There's 3 4-hour movies ahead of me. That is one of them. And I just don't want to do that right off the bat. So we got ourselves a nice 2-hour movie here.
I love it.
Hopefully briskly paced, but it's 69, dude. You never know. Could be a slog.
I don't know, though. I feel like 69, there was a lot of drug-addled directors who like to have some weird things happening.
Do you think we're going to get a drug sequence?
I think we're going to get a lot of drug sequences, and I think there's going to be a lot of peen. And
it's an X, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like all I really know about this movie is that I think that there's like some penises and butts and boobs and stuff.
Okay. That's good. We could use
that's like
that.
Pretty much all I know.
Yeah, it's Sunday night, and my 4-year-old's still awake in the next room.
She
so
definitely is.
I'm hoping for some body
She's
parts.
She's building us some Lego castles while we watch some Midnight Cowboys getting it on in the bedroom. Close your ears.
Oh, yeah, I'm cranking it. Yeah.
She's going to learn some things tonight.
That's all right. She'll forget them tomorrow, trust me. Even the stuff I want her to know.
I don't know. I feel like you say that, and then a week from now she'll be like, hey, Karina.
What's a Midnight Cowboy?
I have a story about a Midnight Cowboy.
Oh my God, the preschool's going to be like, what is going on the weekends? Nah, well, it's a podcast, so it's all okay. As long as it's done in the service of entertainment and the furtherance of our own fame. You can do whatever you want to a child.
Yeah.
It's America.
It's good for her.
Yeah. Speaking of children, how are you doing?
I have one inside of me.
Yeah, that's one reason we didn't want to do Gone with the Wind.
That's true. Sitting down for even 2 hours is going to be a testament to my bladder, my back, and my butt.
Do you want me to do like a periodic check-in on the 3 Bs there? Like just to make sure?
Back, butt, and bladder.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to check in. I'll just tell you.
Okay, great.
There's really no stopping it. Yeah, I've reached the point in my pregnancy where the child has figured out how to like heel kick my bladder and then like keep pressing really, really hard.
Oh, man.
I haven't peed my pants yet, though.
That's a ninja move. Well, you've probably got, killer pelvic floor.
Well,
I don't know why I said that.
I'm doing my Kegels like it's my job right now. I'm doing them right now. That's the great thing about Kegels. You can really do them anytime, anywhere.
You really can, especially
Nobody knows.
Another good reason I'm glad we have an X-rated movie and not Gone with the Wind, because it'll probably encourage a couple of nope.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll be sucking it tight a few times.
Do not want that 1969 peen of whoever's. I don't even know who's in this movie.
I have no idea who's in this movie. I really know nothing about this movie except for the potential of genitals. That's about all I've got.
One of my favorite things about doing this is that I feel like if it gets any sort of traction or search engine, like people are going to be looking for, podcasts dissecting the best pictures, and they're going to stumble across this where I've intentionally learned nothing before I embarked on this journey and continue to want to know nothing. To the point where
you don't know anything.
If we don't recognize these actors, which is pretty likely because it's the 1960s, we won't even know who the fuck they were. That's going to be great.
I'm not going to look that up.
No, why?
I just always assume Paul Newman's in these movies.
It's probably Paul Newman.
It might be Paul Newman.
Oh, I hope it's Paul Newman. I'd recognize him.
Yeah, I know what he looks like from the salad dressing.
Yeah, the ranch dressing.
Yeah.
Young ranch dressing boy.
Oh, ranch French dressing guy looks so good there.
Oh, it's so nice. This
so
is back when he was just a nice balsamic.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, well, I feel like for our boobs and butts and bladders, we should just go ahead and, like, turn on this.
I'm all about it.
All right, here we go. This is Midnight Cowboy.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, so real quick, what do you think's going to happen?
Prostitution.
All right.
I'm going to go with prostitution.
Okay. John Voight. Is it John Voight? Is that who that
John
is?
Voight, yeah.
He's got some big, like, Cabbage Patch cheeks. Oh, Midnight Cowboy. I can't tell if they're having sex or honestly. Hey, what's up, Joe?
Hi, Joey.
Time to go to bed.
Yes, very much. Good night.
Good night, Joe.
Love you.
Have a great one.
Turn their lights off. Okay.
This is. It's like when the time I walked into my uncle watching Pet Cemetery. Right when the kid slices the neighbor's Achilles tendon. This is going to be that memory for her.
I don't think she knows what she saw because we don't even know what's going on.
That's true.
Okay, back to this, whatever this is, show. The
Oh,
Lord.
They're wrestling. He's nodding like, that'll do, pig.
Yeah, right.
That'll do.
What exactly did he die of?
I don't know.
Annoyance?
He had a fever and
Yeah.
a cough. I don't think that's gonna necessarily kill you, like, right then.
Well, bus driver's gonna throw him in the Atlantic.
Well, that was Midnight Cowboy. I'm, like, kind of furious right now.
Okay, what happened in the... Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen it, who are as ignorant as we are, it's about a pimp. No, it's about a hoe.
A hoe.
It's about a hoe from
A
Texas.
hoe from Texas, but he wasn't a hoe prior. He moved
it
to
was a
New York.
Wanahoe.
He was a Wanahoe.
Mm-hmm.
People move to New York for lots of reasons.
To make it the Big Apple.
To make it in the Big Apple.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to move from Texas to go to New York to be a successful hoe.
Yeah. He was a dishwasher in, like, Lockhart.
Basically.
And then he decided he wanted to be a hoe in Manhattan.
And he wasn't very good at it.
He sucked.
Well,
he didn't even
suck.
No.
He was trying to be gay for pay, couldn't even do that.
Nope.
I don't think ever learned to get the money up front.
No.
Really was terrible at being a hoe.
Yeah.
And then Dustin Hoffman tried to be his pimp, but then he died from having a limp. And that is, and it rhymes on purpose, I think.
They were living in absolute abject poverty, and it didn't occur to any of them at any time to get a job, even though he had one in Texas.
Yeah, no point.
Then,
that is what is infuriating about this movie. So at no point did they ever think, hey, look, you're really bad at being a whore. Mm-hmm. I'm not very good at being a pimp. What if, I'm just throwing this out there, we got jobs? Like real basic jobs.
Yeah.
You know what? You could even say on your resume that you used to be a dishwasher. Because you did.
Yeah,
it's
true.
crazy.
There's even one point at which Dustin Hoffman, they're scamming something. They're scamming clean shoes. It's a long story. And he starts shining his buddy's shoes, and then other people sit down to have their shoes shined, and he accidentally has a job for a
boom.
day.
Didn't even mean to have a job. Had a job.
But he stopped doing that because his old man died of shoe shining.
His old man died from an old shoe shining.
But then he died of riding he died of riding a bus.
He sure did die of riding a bus.
I mean, it was Greyhound.
If anyone's a doctor out there, we're trying to figure out exactly what Dustin Hoffman died of. Okay. He had a cough.
Yes, and a limp.
And then a fever, it appeared at the end.
A fever accompanied by acute moisture. Just so much moisture.
I think he may have drowned. Because he was so wet this whole movie. And then by the end, he was just like really wet. And then he wet himself.
Yeah, he did. He pissed himself.
And then he died. I think he drowned from the inside. He
looked like a thing of Vaseline that had been left out in the sun for like half of this movie.
He really did. So wet.
There's no character arc to speak of. I mean, we've kind of...
This movie was some avant-garde bullshit.
Yes.
There was a lot of... about every 15 minutes, they had to like spin the camera around and do some weird lighting stuff, and then go to throwback montages where clearly our cowboy, our horrible hoe cowboy, at some point was in the army.
Should we just call him a hoe boy?
Hoe boy. Okay. Our hoe boy was in the army. That had nothing to do with anything. No. It just showed him sitting there one time. And then his grandma gave him an enema once. Did you catch that?
Was that what happened?
Yes.
I couldn't tell. It seemed like grandma might have been molesting him and then giving him money, but it also seemed like he just loved his grandmother.
Yeah, I don't know. There was like some spanking, and then he was in bed with her, but then she was also giving him an enema. Yeah. But then there was also his girlfriend, Crazy Annie, who he was having sex with, and then a bunch of guys caught them, and then gangbanged her, and then she went crazy.
Or she already was. It's not really clear. She didn't get to talk. So he had a lot of trauma, and that is supposed to explain, I guess, why he's a hoe boy.
Yeah, why his excuse for like leaving Texas and going to New York was to be a hoe boy.
So he has exactly 4 hoe adventures. Let's count them down. We got the first hoe adventure where he just walks up to a lady walking her dog and basically insinuates that they should have sex, and she agrees, and it works.
And they do.
And it's like, this is his first day in New York.
And he's killing it.
It's maybe the second person he's talked to.
Yep. He's like knocking him down, setting him up, knocking him down.
Yeah, and they fucked her like little bunnies, and then she doesn't have any money, and she scams him for $20.
Yeah. So first
welcome
sign,
to New York.
First sign, not going well.
What was number 2? Number 2, gay for pay, goes to the movie theater, gets a blowjob.
From a little nerd.
The little nerd doesn't have any money.
Throws up afterward.
Well, yeah, which
first time.
Or bad dick.
Or bad dick. I don't know. He was still new enough in town. He probably didn't smell that bad yet. I don't know, though.
But like, we don't know what happened in Texas, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Or the army.
But yeah, so the kid's puking after he blows the hoe boy. And then doesn't get the money.
Nope, so he takes his watch.
But then feels bad and gives him the watch back.
Terrible hoe. We cannot emphasize how bad he is at hoeing. Hoe number 3 was...
The lady...
Goes to a drug party so that they can do some drugs.
What the fuck am I trying to say? Andy Warhol party.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, like, oh, Lord. Just shoot me now.
He can't get it up. So they play Scrabble.
They played Scrabble, and he spells money with no E.
Yeah, because he's such a bad
Because he learned how to spell it from the side of a building.
That's how bad he is at being a sex worker. He doesn't know how to... Okay, and then...
And they end up fucking, which is good.
Barely.
Kind of.
She had to basically, like, squeeze it out of him.
Yeah.
By insinuating that he's gay, which he's at least reluctantly bi, but...
Yeah.
It was meaner than that in the 60s, you know?
Yeah.
And then he, like, anger fucked her, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And
she more anger fucked him, and he was just, like, there for it.
He's a bottom bitch.
He is such a bottom bitch.
So she does pay him and sets him up with another appointment.
So he was on the right track. He finally was making his hoe times the good times.
Finally, but that's exactly when he had to leave town because his buddy
turned
into
melting.
Vaseline.
And how do you help someone that's melting? You take them to Florida. You get them on the fucking bus.
Go to Florida.
Oh, but they didn't have the money, so this is the 4th one. He gave pay again.
He went to like a priest or some Catholic paper guy.
Yeah, some guy who was in town for a
He
paper
ran into him at the
convention.
arcade. You know that old story.
That old trope.
And that guy can't bring himself to ask for any gay sex.
Because he was on the phone with his mother for a while.
And he's Catholic.
And
And anyway, he's going to pay our ho-boy just as thanks for not
fucking him.
Yeah, which that's, I mean, if you're a hoe,
that's some easy money right there.
that's the gold stuff. That's the repeat business you want.
Right. But I can't repeat that because I'm pretty sure he killed him.
He did.
By
He
shoving
killed him.
a phone in his mouth.
He murdered him for $30 extra so that he could buy a bus ticket and maybe a cool Hawaiian shirt.
To get his puddle of Vaseline to the bus.
Yes.
So then they get on the bus. And then our ho-boy has an epiphany.
On the bus.
With 3 minutes left in the goddamn film.
Unprompted, too.
He's like, what if we got a job of some sort? By gum.
Now that we're going to Florida, we got a fresh start, and they have jobs there.
They have jobs there,
unlike
as opposed
in
to
New
New York.
York.
And then the tub of Vaseline, unfortunately, just slid into a puddle under the chair and was gone.
You know what I think he died of?
What?
No doneness. I think he heard that. He was so fucking mad.
He just had an aneurysm. It was just like, I can't even.
That his able-bodied roommate finally realized he could work for a fucking living.
I did work that didn't involve fucking old ladies. Because I'm not real good at that.
I was impressed when this movie first started with the premise that he was going to go to New York and fuck old ladies for money, and I thought, did that work in the 60s?
Apparently not, according to this movie.
I think that's what this movie's about, was that there's never been a time when
I think
that
what this
has
movie
worked.
is really about, whatever your dreams are, you're probably not going to attain them.
Get better ones.
Yeah. If you're going to New York or LA to be acting, to do acting, to be a comic, to be a singer, or to just fuck for money,
Any kind of ho-boy, whatever version of ho-boy you
you're
are.
probably not going to succeed.
Nope, you're going to go to Florida.
You're probably going to end up living with a tub of Vaseline, and you know what? Your parents were right. Just get a job.
Yep. Just do it. Well, this movie is the most pointless and depressing art house movie I think I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's mostly because I wanted something to happen. But even though we narrated most of the plot there, none of that felt like it was happening.
No.
It felt like...
It was very slow motion.
It felt like the main character was reluctantly being pulled into situations where something might happen, and he would rather chew gum and stand on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is I feel like he had opportunities. Like, that gay for pay thing could have totally panned out.
Oh, for sure.
Like, if you're willing to put yourself in that situation, then fine. Like, just commit to it.
Yep.
He had to be all like, grumble, grumble, grumble. Whatever. That nice little nerd sucked your dick. He didn't have money, fine. Steal his watch.
That
Like,
kid
just
seemed
get
really
better at
sweet.
it.
He mostly wanted to cuddle.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt really bad for that kid. Okay, shining lights in the movie. There were some good things. There were some good lines. We finally found out where I'm Walking Here came from.
I'm walking here. Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
So now we know.
Turns out it's Dustin Hoffman in this movie. It's the only thing in value he does.
Yeah. Because
Besides-
by the end, he's not even walking here anymore.
No, he's
just
not.
falling down a lot.
He's tumbling here downstairs. And I guess he makes an edible jalapeno bean mix.
Yeah, he makes a killer hobo slop.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And steals coconuts that he can't open.
I will say his little dream sequence in Florida was pretty funny.
That was awesome.
'Cause
His
all
dreams were attainable.
His dreams were totally attainable. Literally, all this dude wanted was to, like, run poolside bingo games in Miami for old retirees who had just gotten nose jobs. And, like, run a little side, like, craps game for those old ladies as well. And have them call him Rizzo instead of Ratso. Like, that's a dream.
Yes. And all he needed...
you know what else it is?
What?
A fucking job.
Yes.
Running poolside bingo.
Yes. And he would have been great at it. And you know what else? Turns out it only cost $57 this whole time.
That whole time they were in New York.
All they had to do was murder one Catholic.
$57. Just murder one measly Catholic.
That's all they... And this movie took place over, what do we think, a year and a half?
Maybe not even that long.
A full year.
Because I think we only saw like 2 full seasons. Maybe 3.
They only went through one winter.
One winter.
Yeah, okay.
And like, so yeah, there was like, they got there like in the fall, winter, spring. So like maybe a year. Plenty
of time for all of this to happen/occur to them.
Yes.
The $57 or the job idea or any of this.
$57. And then he could have been raking in that sweet, sweet poolside bingo money.
They had no family. They had no job. They had no house they were paying rent on. Mm-mm. They literally had no connections to New York.
No.
Anyway. Okay, Shining Lights. I meant to say.
Oh, yeah.
I want to be positive.
I mean, okay.
There was a person in green who made pretty good fun of Cowboy, who was either a lesbian or a trans woman, and I can't tell, but it doesn't matter. I loved her either way.
Yeah, I liked her a lot, too.
I think she was meant to be a lesbian because it's 1969. Their imagination wouldn't stretch that far, but Dustin Hoffman did keep throwing the F word at her.
That's true.
I don't know. But either way, she was fabulously dressed.
She was really funny.
And she was super funny, and she felt like she was making fun of the movie
And she was kind of like the like soothsayer, like the fortune teller at the beginning that was like, he's just gonna screw you over, sort of a thing. And he did. I mean, really.
He screwed him over right away. What was that sequence? So when they first meet, Cowboy and Rat, so Vaseline, he's gonna get set up with a manager, with a pimp.
Ratso says he knows a pimp who can manage Cowboy, and then he like makes him pay him $20 to get him there, and then he gets there, and it's actually just some like insane person who prays for your soul. Does exorcisms, maybe?
He got sent to a guy who looked, acted, and spoke exactly the way you would expect a sex trafficker to do. But then at one point...
Or like your vice principal.
Well, same thing.
Okay.
And then he opened a closet, and there was a Virgin Mary altar, and they started praying, and that apparently so offended Cowboy.
Oh, and that was also triggering for him because he had flashbacks of getting baptized.
Oh, boo-hoo, you grew up in Texas, so
right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're so special.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, like, all of these weird triggering flashbacks for him. Okay, I get his girlfriend getting gangbanged in front of him.
That was genuinely awful.
That's rough.
And I'm glad it was 1969 and they didn't show too much of that because it was about to get serious. Yeah.
But everything else, was like being baptized, living with your grandma, being in the army.
Having a dishwashing job.
Remember jobs? God, I hate to go back on this. I know we're sounding like a couple of moms right now, but just like, get a job. Ugh. Anyways, Shining Lights.
I only got the lesbian. I don't know what else you got.
The lesbian was great.
Was there anything at the party?
Oh, the weird, freaking Andy Warhol party was like. I feel like it could have been interesting, but it wasn't.
The part where he smoked a joint like it was a cigarette was genuinely funny.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with his face.
Oh, God, it's Jon Voight's face.
Because he looks like a Cabbage Patch doll.
Yes.
And I get that maybe that's the whole point, is that he looks, like, super angelic and young and dumb or whatever, and this, like...
He's so dumb.
But he's just really hard to look at.
It didn't make it any easier that I knew that he was, boy Angelina Jolie. Like, I kept seeing her face.
Yeah.
On this 7-foot-tall stud-a-muffin.
I mean, that's her dad, right?
Yeah.
God, that's so weird.
Super
weird. That's why he's so unsettling looking, because it is kind of like...
Yeah.
Because it's like the same cheekbones and like the hyper-structured face.
It's basically her mouth, except he didn't have braces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, Angelina Jolie's like life story is kind of like the
Midnight
trauma.
Cowboy.
The trauma of having been raised by this tall ass boy.
Yeah. So it was a movie.
Best Picture.
It really was Best
1969.
Picture. I really do want to know what else was up for it that year.
I know, but I can't look it up because that would break the code.
We can't know anything.
We can't know anything.
We can't possibly know anything.
We've got to be just like Cowboy. We can't take advantage of any
sort of
knowledge or resources to help us.
I wonder what the reaction was to this winning. Because first of all, the fact that it was rated X is goddamn bullshit.
Well, I can see why morally. Like, they didn't show anything. There's some violence.
Sure.
There's some sex. There's some butts. Mm-hmm. There's like a minute of areola if you stitch it all together.
The whole conceit of like being a prostitute and like...
And there's gay sex galore.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that was
maybe
probably more than anything what did it.
But I do wonder though, like, the other filmmakers' reactions to it at the time.
Yeah.
Like, if they were like, 2 snaps, I love it. Or if they were like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, who's the director? Do you know the director?
No.
No, I don't either.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the name, but it wasn't like somebody who was like, it's blah, blah, blah. I feel like there was that whole decade where, like, French films were coming over, like, you know.
Yeah. Or, like, wasn't Easy Rider in this time,
Easy Rider was right around this year.
Coming of age, but, like, of older people.
Of men.
Like, a journey.
Yeah.
That is... But really, what it all comes down to for all these people in all these movies is, like, what if you got a job?
That's true. But it's definitely like this whole, all the movies of this era boil down to as well, just men discovering that they can do drugs and have sex. Mm-hmm. And like that's the plot.
Wow, that must be so hard for them to figure out.
I know.
Poor men.
Oh, and then it's hard?
Mm-hmm.
Aww.
That's sad.
You can't just walk around the street and get paid for it?
No.
You poor
baby.
That's
true. I'm trying to think of the women roles in this. Every woman in this was a villain. If you think about it.
I kind of feel like his last most successful hoeing situation, she was pretty cool. She was nice to him. She was very patient with his dumbness.
She was, but he was reacting as if everything she did was insulting. So
because he's an asshole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But she was like trying to be nice and was like, hey, stupid, there's an E in money. And he's like, no, there's not. She's like, okay, sure. And then she, like, actually gets him to get his dick hard, which is, like, no easy feat when somebody's on uppers and drunk.
And she's paying him.
And she's paying him. She does all the work. And then he goes home and he's like, she was like a goddamn alley cat. And he's just like, oh, just say thank you, ma'am, and walk away.
Holy shit.
Yeah, every woman in this, I think...
was treated like a villain, you're right.
Was treated like a villain, and maybe that's where it is coming from his perspective. Is because all the women in his life were problematic.
I don't know. His girlfriend, it wasn't her fault.
She was Crazy Annie, though.
Well, before or after the gangbang?
Well, I don't know.
And the grandma, we're not 100% sure of what's going on there. And that waitress in Florida was nice.
The waitress in Florida was nice. That is true.
Yeah. That made him really happy, actually.
That did really make him happy.
He likes to say yeehaw a lot. This isn't a great movie. In terms of the reputation of Texans, it doesn't further or deepen that at all. So,
no, it really doesn't.
If I considered myself or even felt like considering myself a Texan, I might feel slightly offended, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like Texas deserves it.
Texas does deserve it.
Yeah.
That was a shining moment. Was the trip for him from Texas to New York. Was a very accurate depiction of driving through rural Texas.
Right.
Like a shanty shack that says, like, Jesus saves on top. You're like, fuck yes, I've seen that. Like, trying to dial in your radio station, and all it is, like, some reverend screaming about the Lord. That is accurate.
But that's the thing is that was the first, like, felt like 20 minutes of the movie, and it was just an accurate depiction of driving through Texas. I wouldn't call that...
That's unfortunately the highlight.
Entertainment.
It's an accurate depiction of driving through shitty Texas.
That's your highlight?
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like, yeah, that's what that looks like. Good job.
Do you think Dustin Hoffman was a good actor in this movie?
Sure.
Oh.
He played a great wet man.
I can't get over the fucking moisture.
That's literally all I'm ever going to think about with this. He didn't do anything. He literally did nothing in this movie.
Oh, he had a couple hustles.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as far as acting, like,
Oh, no.
he did nothing. He had to just be like, I'm a fucking crazy guy with a weird foot. And then...
Yeah, he had to learn how to walk limpy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. His accent came and went.
Yeah, and I mean, I believed him as, like, a derelict. Sure.
Well, that's because he was so wet.
He was so wet.
And hairy.
But other than that, that's, like, I think kind of my issue, too. I mean, granted, I guess I don't think they won for Best Acting.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm not doing that podcast.
I'm not doing that research. But I feel like neither one of them really had to do much. The whole boy, he did a pretty good job of looking dumb.
Oh, acting wise?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Jon Voight in anything else besides Anaconda. And to be honest, he wasn't that bright in that movie either. So.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he did fine, assuming
Sure.
that he's probably actually that dumb in real life.
I don't know if he is. He acts that dumb, isn't he? Like a famously arch conservative.
I know nothing about that.
I think that's what he's an example of. Like, oh, see, some Hollywood are Republicans. They always bring up Jon Voight and Clint Eastwood and then James Woods.
Gotcha.
I think they're the three.
Well, they're all about to die soon, so.
Yeah. That's a great point.
On Clint Eastwood. Oh man, if I have to look at that man try to walk one more time, it is upsetting.
Yeah, and I do not need another 4-hour movie winning Best Picture. I've got enough of those.
So I wish Gran Torino was a Best Picture winner, just so you had to comment on it. Have you seen Gran Torino?
Is that the one with the Hmong living next door? Yes, I think I did see that one.
The horribly racist Asian one?
Yes, I've seen that one.
Yeah. Holy shit. I watched that, it was just like, what is happening?
Yeah, that was basically like, oh, I'm supposed to feel sympathy for my dad.
See, Charlie is out to get us.
No, I do have to watch. I'm watching $1 Million Baby pretty soon here. That's actually scheduled.
Okay, that's at least entertaining.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I liked $1 Million Baby.
That's good to know.
There's minimal racism.
Okay, well, that's more than you can say for most Academy Award-winning pictures.
That is true.
Finding out very quickly.
Oh, are you excited for Crash?
That's all I could talk about the last podcast.
That has to be the most infamous of all Best Picture. It has to be, right?
That's one of the few that I've actually seen, and I feel like I'm like working my way towards it. Like, how did Crash happen? That might be the central thesis of this podcast.
Is how did Crash happen?
It's more
all building up to that.
That's true. I should get better viewership or listenership or whatever if I mention this is a crime podcast. Crime is Crash.
The crime is Crash.
We are trying to figure out how we got there. Who made Crash?
So maybe we should look at that. How did Midnight Cowboy lead to Crash?
It's pretentious and nothing happens.
Okay, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels very self-important.
Oh, it definitely thought it was very important.
It really felt like it was analyzing.
Yep. The main character was very dumb. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at one point, a car runs into Dustin Hoffman.
There you go.
There's your
He
Crash.
got crashed.
All right.
Huh.
Well, I think that's as good a place as any to stop ever talking about this movie. We've solved the mystery.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you, Katie Pengra, for spending an evening of your life hoping and praying that we would get to see some peen, and instead...
No peen.
Nope.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I suddenly am very thirsty seeing all that moisture.
All right, we're going to go get a drink of lemonade, and thank you for listening. Rate us on whatever, and you know whatever people say at the end of podcasts, just assume that I said that.
I know what they say. Are you ready?
Yeah,
ready for your
can you
sign
do
off?
it? Okay, thanks.
Hey, I'm walking here!